for a closer look at how this trade war will impact the Canadian auto industry, we turn to Flavio Volpe, president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. Flavio, good to have you on this monumental day. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rhoda.
So, I mean, you said just a few days ago the auto industry will close within a week if these tariffs are implemented. And here we are. We're staring at these tariffs. They're here. What is your reaction, first of all, and what's running through your mind today?
I can't believe we are here. I mean, it makes no sense for American interests, never mind Canadian interests. But we're here, and people like Susan are going to be the lifeblood of the next few weeks and months. We're going to have to figure out how we look after the Canadian interests. Some of that will be in counter tariffs on the Americans, and some of it will be waiting for these this tariff to cause the damage that that I and others like the Premier are predicting will happen in the U.S. auto industry. If you imagine that car companies and parts companies make 5, 6, 7% profit margin, and today every shipment that's going across the border is going to cost 25 extra percent. Every day that they operate wipes out a week's worth of profit. You've had me on this show before, and certainly been saying it'll be about a week before that is too much, and we're going to see the industry shut down from Ontario down to Texas and over to Monterrey, unless somebody dials this back, and that somebody is Donald Trump. Unfortunately, he seems bent on pushing us all over a cliff. All right, well, we're going to fight for the parachute.
Listen, you've been having some really important conversations with some really important people as part of a team that makes up the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. And you've said in the past that you think Canada has a number of tools in its toolbox. You say that the country is prepared for a number of scenarios. Can you take us behind the scenes and tell us more about the conversations and the avenues the country is willing to explore?
Well, the nonsense here is that the math doesn't really work for a trade war for anybody. 60% of the aluminum that Americans use, not 60% that gets imported, comes from Quebec. Why would you price that up or inspire the Quebec aluminum industry to look for other customers? 23% of steel, 100% of the uranium that goes into all of the nuclear power plants in the U.S. is here. If in automotive, we if you look at a story that we put in the Globe this morning, 173 Canadian-owned parts plants in 26 U.S. states that employ 48,000 Americans. That's the equivalent. The president wants to see a whole bunch of auto plants move back there. Well, auto plants employ 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. The magnitude here is 10 to 12 times that are already employed by Canadian investments there. So we're going to see this package of tariffs, $30 billion package of tariffs, go into effect immediately as a counter from Canada. And within 21 days, the Prime Minister has promised a package that totals $150 billion. None of that is going to do as much damage to the U.S. Position as the tariff they put on themselves. So all of those costs are going to be borne by American consumers or American companies buying for American consumers. Cost of everything is going to go up. We're watching markets tank this morning. The president has got to stick his head up in Congress today. Let's see. Today he might feel emboldened. There's 900,000 people that make cars and parts in the U.S. that will be out of work within a week or so. And they're all in states that delivered the presidency: Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, Michigan, Pennsylvania. It is a big mess, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt us. But you know what? In this sense, I've talked on this channel many times that MAGA is a movement there. And they'll suffer through what President Trump does a little bit longer than people who aren't so religiously following him. But there's a movement here, and Susan just showed you that being Canadian means something way more than any politics.
It's too early to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because a lot of people are bracing for impact, Flavio. From the auto industry standpoint, have you even tried to do the math and put a price tag on the impact here? How many job losses could we be looking at? How much money could Canada be losing here? When you start to look at that, what runs through your mind?
Well, we had 2 shutdowns in the last 5 years, unprecedented. But it was March of 2020 when the pandemic hit, and February 2022 when a bunch of people blocked the Ambassador Bridge. We shut down for a week. That's 125,000 people who directly make cars, parts, or tools in this province were sitting at home. Up to 500,000 people that support all of that. Whether that's logistics or raw materials or professional services that are related to shipping, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. It's the biggest single industry in this province. And we will be, we're all looking at a temporary layoff and sit down and a shutdown if we can't get Washington to come to its senses, or organizations like ours, the APMA, or our American counterparts are able to justify in U.S. court an emergency stay, the irreparable harm being caused by the misuse of a national security piece of legislation on a premise that's a lie.
At the beginning of this conversation, I heard you say you can't believe we're here. You can't believe we're actually talking about this. Donald Trump imposing across the board 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods. Are you hopeful, Flavio? Do you think the president is going to come to his senses? And as the prime minister said, as Justin Trudeau, the prime minister said today, this is a very dumb thing to do. Do you think Donald Trump is going to realize that?
No. But I do think that there are enough Americans who are going to be affected, who have common cause with us, that are going to stand up for themselves. Americans, farmers, who are going to be paying 25% more for potash to fertilize their crops. Americans who represent districts that are heavily in the automotive sector, who happen to be the congressional chair of the Republican caucus. These are the people that are going to stand up, and they're not going to say, we like Canada. We want to protect you.
Okay,
They're going to say,
Flavio,
this hurts
thanks
us.
so much. I'm going to interrupt you here because we have to take our viewers live to Queen's Park.